first graders, this is Tia again. Today we're going to continue talking about the different parts of a plant. Yesterday we talked about seeds, and today we're going to talk about roots. Before we do anything else, I want to sing our song again called Parts of Plants. It goes like this. Oh, do you know the parts of plants, the parts of plants, the parts of plants? Do you know the parts of plants that make them grow and grow? The roots they hold the plant in place, the plant in place, the plant in place. The roots they hold the plant in place, soak up food and water too. The stem moves water up the plant, up the plant, up the plant. The stem moves water up the plant, brings water to the leaves. The leaves soak up the rays of sun, the rays of sun, the rays of sun. The leaves soak up the rays of sun and help the plant make food. The flower grows into a fruit, into a fruit, into a fruit. The flower grows into a fruit which holds the tiny seeds. Now you know the parts of plants, the parts of plants, the parts of plants. Now you know the parts of plants that make them grow and grow. So today we're going to focus on roots. Now, the first thing I want you to know about roots is that there are two types of roots. And the other day I was pulling some weeds out of my yard, and lots of the weeds had tap root. So a tap root is the root that is really thick, and it might have a couple tiny little roots coming off of the tap root, but you can really distinctly see that long, thick root that goes straight down from the stem of the plant. So some roots are tap roots, and then some roots are fibrous roots. And it has so many tiny little roots that come out, and they're not attached to a main root. They're just these tiny little fibrous roots. So next time you pull out a weed, check to see if it has a tap root or a fibrous root. And both types of roots do the same thing. They carry the nutrients up to the plant and they keep the plant in place, but they just look different. So next time you pull up a plant, see what type of root it has, a tap root or a fibrous root. Now, I just talked a tiny bit about what roots do, but I made a copy from a book that I have, and it tells us a little bit more about roots. And this book is actually mostly about trees. So this one says, trees need soil to keep growing. Roots are part of the highways underneath the ground. They soak up water and nutrients from the soil. Roots also keep the soil in place when it rains. Without the roots of trees and plants, soil washes away. So not only are roots important for the plant to stay in place and to not fall over, and to also to transport the nutrients up into the stem of the plant, but it's also important to keep the soil in place. And in some places where maybe there's been a fire and lots of trees have died, and so all their roots have died too. And then if there's a big rain, there's nothing to hold the soil in place anymore. And so often the soil creates like a landslide because there's nothing to hold the soil in place. So roots are important for lots of different reasons, not just for the plants, but also for the soil around the plants. Trees are stuck in the soil because their roots reach deep into the ground. It's a good thing they can make their own food since they can't move to get it. So this is so important. Trees and plants can't walk to the grocery store to get food, so they have to use the resources that they have. And the main resource is the roots. And so the roots kind of form like little straws, kind of, that suck up the nutrients and water from the ground into the plant. So just to review, roots do three main things for a plant. Number one, they act as anchors. So they really hold the plant in place. Number two, they take in water or nutrients from the soil through tiny parts called root hairs. So the root hairs are the tiny, tiny little parts that come off. Like this is a taproot, and the little tiny little root hairs are the ones that start the process of sucking the nutrients from the soil. And this is one that you might not have known. Number 3, some store food for the plant. So not all roots do this, but some roots store food for the plant. So it's kind of like a cupboard or a pantry. If the plant doesn't need that food yet, it'll store it in its roots. And then when it does need food, it'll be able to soak it up from the roots where it's been staying. Awesome. I also wanted to show you this really cool picture, just to give an idea of how much is going on underneath the ground where all of the roots are. And worms have a lot to do with creating nutrients for the roots to soak up for the plants. So not only do roots interact with the plant and keep the soil in place, but they also interact with the animals under the soil that help create more nutrients for the plants. So there's a lot going on underneath the soil that helps a plant grow that we don't see. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is vegetables that are actually roots. And I think you probably know lots of these. The first one that comes to mind for me is carrots. And carrots are actually just a big, gigantic tap root. And when you pull a carrot out of a garden, there's tiny little root hairs that are attached. So sometimes on a fresh carrot, you might have to like just gently pull all those little root hairs off. Another one that we all know about are potatoes. So potatoes, sweet potatoes or just regular potatoes, are all roots. One of my favorites, garlic, also a root. Radishes, I love radishes on my tacos, sliced up really thinly, delicious and super crunchy in salads. Shallots are a type of onion. They're a little bit smaller and more delicate. They're also roots. Beets, yum, love beets. They're super good for you. Here are onions. So white, yellow, or red onions, they're all roots. So we eat lots of different types of roots, more than you might think. So next time you're eating a potato or a carrot or a radish or some garlic or an onion, think about where it came from on a plant. And they all used to be underground. Very interesting. All right, now I would like you to get your Parts of a Plant book, and we're going to write on the next page. So we did, the first page was all about seeds, and the next page is all about roots. So I want you to think about 3 facts that you learned today or that you already knew about roots. You can pause the video for some think time. If you need some ideas, here are 3 facts that I learned about roots. So make sure you start with an uppercase and use your nicest handwriting. So here's my first fact. Roots anchor plants in place. Without a root, the plant will fall over, for sure. The next fact I'm going to write is roots transport water and nutrients, that's like minerals, to the plant. And the last one, I'm going to write about some roots that we eat. We eat roots like carrots, comma, because I'm writing a list, I need to use some commas. carrots, excuse me, oh my, potatoes, comma, and, all right, garlic, because I love garlic. Awesome. So now, once you've written your 3 facts, roots anchor plants in place. Roots transport water and nutrients to the plant. We eat roots like carrots, potatoes, and garlic. So after you've written your 3 facts, now it's time to draw some roots that we eat. So here's the picture again. Of course, got to draw some carrots. And I'll even draw them with their tops on, which has the stem and the leaves also. And some people actually do eat carrot tops. But not everybody does. You can cook them or put them in salads. So one of the roots we eat are carrots and potatoes. I like those little red potatoes myself. Potatoes. And maybe I'll draw some radishes. They're so pretty. So the radishes have like a little bulb, and then they have the taproot that goes down from the bulb. Make sure you label your pictures radishes. All right, I'll stop there and I'll do a little coloring. So make sure you color yours in also to make it look really nice. Radishes and beets are unusual because lots of the other roots are more tan, or actually carrots are also quite bright. All right, so make sure you color in your pictures after you label them. After you finish your pictures, you're going to get this book and a clipboard or a hard surface, because next we're going to go outside and find some roots and draw them. So when you're done with this, you will watch the next video, which will be going outside to draw some roots. All right, I'll see you in a few minutes.